Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of GT History, the video series where I'll talk about some of the craziest moments of the most capitalist MMO out there, Growtopia. For most players, Growtopia is all about getting rich, so they can flex on their friends. And that is why some players are willing to do anything it takes in order to get rich, just like real life. This is the reason why there are so many scams in Growtopia. In fact, there are so many scams in Growtopia, they are considered to be the lore of the game. In Growtopia, pretty much every player has been scammed at some point. And not just by strangers. There are countless records of real-life friends or even family members scamming each other so they can get their greasy hands on those shiny warlocks, which are the main currency of the game. But scams aren't always successful. Sometimes scammers fail and lose the items that they used to bait the other player. This became known as scam failing and became really popular back in the day when many types of high-risk scams weren't patched yet. Some of the scam fail techniques were really nasty, but also really clever and required quick reactions in order to make it work. This is the story of scam fails and how they may very well have become Growtopia's first esports. This is going to be a crazy ride, so lean back, get out your can of Pringles and enjoy. Speaking of Pringles, you know what they say about Pringles. Once you pop, you never can stop. Yeah, that's very poetic. But if you feel the same way about my videos, consider subscribing to the channel and licking that bell. Okay, no more talking about Pringles or licking a bell, let's get straight into the video. As I mentioned earlier, scams are very popular in Growtopia, which is why it has become a rule that items lost in scams won't be returned. The only way to get your items back would be to bag the 9-year-old kid that just scammed you, but that never works. So what if there was a way to make a scammer pay for their sinful behavior? Well, there is. It's called scam failing. As the words suggest, scams sometimes fail and the scammer loses their warlocks. Back in 2015, this became so popular, you could call it a new game mode. And most of the time, everyone involved in the situation knew it was a scam. The scammer knew it, the player who went along with the scam knew it, and the occasional little brother of the scammer helping to scam knew it. So what types of scams were popular with scam failing? One of the most popular scams in Growtopia is called the Dropgame. Dropgames are considered to be the OG scam of Growtopia, and they are as old as the game itself. There are many different variations of this scam, but the basic recipe is always the same. First of all, the owner of a world, who is the scammer, drops an expensive item as a prize. He then asks another player to drop an item, and if it's good enough, he says they will win the prize. Obviously, that never happens, and the owner always kicks, bans, or gets rid of the player in some other nasty way in order to steal the items. There are, however, some not so wise scammers who don't block the prize or forget that it's there, which is why sometimes it is possible to make the scammer fail. This scam failing evolved over time. Scammers used consumables, hidden doors, checkpoints, or many other options in order to trick players and scam their warlocks. And so it didn't take long until drop games evolved and other, more sophisticated scam methods were invented. Enter the era of word trade scams. This type of scam was the one that really popularized scam failing, as it was a lot riskier for the scammer and therefore more easy to scam fail. So, let me present to you the basic recipe for this type of scam. First ingredient is one or more scammers who work together and one innocent player as a target. The scammer, who owns a world with expensive items in there, claims he wants to sell it for a very low price. However, when he trades the world to another player, the scammer then takes all the expensive items and the buyer is left with the worthless world. There were countless of very sneaky ways that the scammer could take the items after trading the world to the buyer, but most of them are fixed nowadays. Back in 2015, you could for example walk during the trade confirmation screen. That means if the buyer accepted first, the owner would just walk to the item and take it, and then trade the world. A successful trade word scam fail would look like this. When the scammer trades the word to another player, this player would have to ban the owner fast enough so that they can't take the items back. This required very fast typing skills, especially if the scammer has another account that tries to take the items as well. You could say it's the first real type of PvP in Growtopia, and it's certainly entertaining to watch. Just like every other type of scam, this word trading scam also evolved into more sophisticated versions, and that's where it really got interesting. Some versions of this are, for example, hidden doors. How it works is that the scammer would hide some doors in the world, and after the trade is complete, he or his friends would enter the world through this hidden door and take all the items. This version was really hard to scam fail, because you never knew how many players were going to come through that door in order to take those items. Very fast reactions or smart techniques were required to get rid of all these scammers' helpers, and it made for some esports ready moments.
예. 하나 밀어냈고 저 타워 하나 이제 미드 바텀 쪽도 욕심내는 거 위험해요. 위에 부활해 우지 그리고 끝났어요. 우지가 죽었어요. 라이즈가 있긴 한데 자 그래도 우지가 또 MS들이야. 들어가요. 결국 야단이 설계했어요. 야단이 결국.
But scammers weren't the only ones who improved their techniques. Since the only way to make this trade scam fail was to get rid of all these scammers' accounts entering the world, an item that would prevent just that would be very helpful. I present to you the game generator, or as some called it, scam failing machine back in the day. This item had nothing to do with scams, but it had one important feature. A game generator is a block that allows the owner to start a deathmatch. And when a deathmatch starts, everyone in the world gets pulled to the spawn. And that meant anybody entering the world through some hidden door had no chance to take the items. However, using a game generator to scam fail was not easy. You see, after trading the world, first of all, you had to get rid of the scammer himself by banning them, and then quickly place the game generator in order to teleport anybody entering the world to the spawn. Once you've done that, you quickly had to ban those players before they left and entered the world through the hidden door again. As you see, there's a lot of skill involved, and it's very easy to mess things up. Scam failing became more and more popular, but that didn't go unnoticed. In 2016, the developers had enough. As more and more players got scammed by the trade word scam, they had no other choice but to fix it. In an update, they made worlds untradeable where items were floating around freely. And that meant that scammers couldn't trade a world and pick up expensive items afterwards anymore. Many players said that this was the end of word trade scamming, and therefore also the end of scam fails. But hold on, what is that? Is that a trade word scam? After the update?
NANI?
As it turned out, that simple fix wasn't enough to get rid of word trade scams. Scammers found out that if they used a block called highly combustible box, they could still trade the world and take the items afterwards. This highly combustible box is, as the name suggests, highly combustible, and you could simply destroy it by using a pocket lighter on it. This technique marked the final chapter of scam fails. Scammers, as well as scam failers, knew they didn't have forever. And that's why in 2017, World Trade scam failing became even more popular. This play with the fire cost many victims. And that's why finally the developers fixed this version of the trade scam too, and put the final nail in the coffin of scam failing. Nowadays, scam failing still is a thing. However, it is not at the level of popularity that it was back in 2016. Most scams today aren't as easy to scam fail as back then, and that makes them even more dangerous. And maybe that's why seeing those greedy scammers getting scammed with their own weapons is very satisfying to watch. But don't let yourself get fooled. In most cases, the scammer succeeded and the scam failure gets scammed themselves. So don't ever risk your items in trying to outplay a scammer. Scammers always have a secret trick up their sleeves that will make you lose your items. That's why if you see a scammer, the best thing to do is just report and leave and let the moderators take care of the situation. Did you ever get scammed in the most capitalist MMO out there? Or have you maybe even scam failed another scammer? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you have interesting video suggestions, put them there too. I look forward reading and replying to them. Also, remember Pringles? Yeah, that's right. Go and subscribe right now and lick the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Thank you very much for watching, and huge shout out to my subscribers. You are the best community in Growtopia. Peace out.